Okay. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to see if there are questions um, to be raised in reference to the discussion of the waters and anything else that comes to mind. And we'll go from there. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I did have a comment further on a question that Evelyn asked last Sunday. And I did miss some of what she said just now, but I know she was speaking towards something on her job, and I am dealing with something currently now. Um, I guess very similar, close to what she said, and so I wanted to respond to her after that on my experience and how I was approaching it as well.
Um, when you do that, I would want her or you to recap what she shared with us. And the reason I say that is because others are listening at this, they would not know what you're responding to, okay?
Okay, I'll respond then first by the memory, Evelyn, and then if you could repeat what it is you said or give us a synopsis where anyone listening could follow, and then I will respond to that. Last
Okay.
week, okay, great. Last week on, I believe it was Sunday, Evelyn was asking a question where she was trying to more so grasp the idea of memory from beginning being available in the water, and that memory always being available, and at the same time almost being able to grasp that memory was changing. And so after we got off, I was thinking about the idea of forgiveness and how we already do this from a sense, but more so how it actually works. And so Evelyn, I'm going to use just make up some little scenario between the two of us, a fictitious scenario as an example, hypothetically speaking. So you and I are very good friends. I'm someone who you can confide in. You feel very close in terms of you don't worry about being hurt or me misusing things that are very personal towards you, against you, to dig at you because you really trust me and you don't think I would ever do anything like that. Well, I am going through some situation, let's say outside of our friendship, something in a life, and I'm just very mean and just very feeling very upset, etc. So, in some type of way, I strike out against you for absolutely no reason, just taking out my frustration and anger on you. And that hurts you very dearly because you had this idea of me and I was literally this person you felt comfortable with, you could tell anything to, et cetera, et cetera. And so then with this hurting you so deeply, you completely shut down. You don't feel as open, you're not as trust worthy, and you just don't seem to have that strong bond and relationship with someone else that you had once before. Things go on in time. You begin to heal. You begin to understand more and become a stronger individual in a sense, and to understand more so what I was going through. You now no longer think that I was just trying to upset you or actually attack you or hurt you. I just was, from a lack of better words, dealing with my own issues and just striking out against someone in a sense who was innocent, which is you. All during that time when you was very upset, you couldn't allow anyone else to come in your life. You couldn't allow anyone to be there for you, etc. You kind of just shut off on your own and start with dealing with life on your own. And you viewed the world as just being a terrible, horrible place that was always against you and everything going bad. Well, as you begin to open up and understand more, and you started to actually forgive me and forgive yourself, and to stop looking at me in that manner, or holding that grudge, so to speak, many things start to happen. Once before, when you encountered someone new on the street or someone new in your life, in the workplace or wherever, you was just automatically mean you thought the worst of them, things of that nature. Now you're more open to those relationships, even to the point where you're now able to be there for others, where before you would have never opened up to them. Because a part of actually being there for people is making ourselves intimate and vulnerable in a sense, to be there for people as well. That actually is when we can actually relate to people the most, is when we're vulnerable and we let our guards down. So now, once before, you used to walk every day with this wall up and being, I don't want to say dead to the world, but kind of being standoffish to the world. Now, all of a sudden, the world is a little bit brighter. You were more so a star in the world. You are now there available to share your gifts, the beautiful spirit and soul that you are, and to lifting up people. Now, let's look in terms of your body, because it's basically what we're talking about. Is the only thing you did was you went back in the memory of that one thing that I said, and you changed that memory. And because you changed that memory, you're now carrying a different experience with you as you go forward. It's not that I just did something that was terrible to you, that made you that resulted in you feeling very bad, you feeling very cold. Now it was just that I was a person in need who was misunderstood, and now you understand that now. So now when you encounter people, that gift of who and what Evelyn is now available. You offer it more freely. When you go outside, is a little bit brighter in a sense. You see a different world, you experience a different world based upon that experience that you had back then actually changing. We think about our bodies. When we hold anxiety and stress and things of our body, we talk about it affects our cells to the point where how our cells are able to actually operate freely in a healthy way. We talk about the brain. As you were able to go back into that memory and actually change that memory and make it something more positive, or something that wasn't as negative or as bad, your brain has literally rewired. Your brain has rewired in a way that when you have an opportunity to automatically go in the shell or get cold or be upset with someone, it is not as likely that you would do that. It is more likely that you will be able to see that person for who they are, and you understand that it does not have that much of an effect on you. So every time when we are able to, no matter how far something in the past happened, actually able to, in a sense, get away or reconcile a situation, forgive someone, etc., we're able to then go into the past, change a memory, change an experience that is actually a different experience that we have going forward, because what we are is we are what we are now based upon all our experiences in the past, but not how those experiences, whatever necessarily happened with those experiences, but how we interpret and what those experiences mean to us. That's how the past and the present is now in the moment, and how we control that past now. But everyone has done that when we have forgiven someone.
Okay. All right, I hear you. But I do want to say, I just wanted them to know, the guy who normally comes to my cubicle and talk to me all day, not all day, but we always talk about work. He always come to me about certain situations. But anyway, I just want to let him know, I know what you did.
Oh, well, before you get into that, since we just started recording, if you don't mind, could you
okay.
give a recap of what happened? And then we can also, expand upon this directly from that example.
Okay, I put in for this position for supervisor, and the reason why I did it, it wasn't for the money. It was because my supervisor had left. I know the system, I know the people, and I didn't want anyone new to come in that area because I know the job and I know the people. Again, I was there for the people, to be honest with you. Anyway, so I applied, and then I realized that there were 3 people who applied as well. I'm the only one with the most experience. I have experience. They didn't. It was me, this other young black lady, and a young white guy on a different board or a different department. Anyway, I found out through someone else and not the man who was supposed to tell me that I didn't get the job. So it hurt finding out from the grapevine. So anyway, I sat on it. I sat on disappointment. I sat on it and I sat on it. And I said, you know what? Let me just go talk to him because he always talking to me, asking me questions. So I said, let me go talk to this man. I said, so have y'all hired anybody for this position? And he said, oh, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, we found somebody. I said, so do they know real estate? He said, no, but they've been in the agency just a little bit longer than you. I said, well, that's not in the job description. The job description is you got to know ... This young cat don't know nothing, and he's a white guy. Anyway, that's what I was talking about, and I was talking about how it hurt because I saw racism. It was right there in my face. Sometimes they do it subliminally, but I saw it, and it just hurt, and that's why I brought it to the family because I want us to deal with it. That's why I brought it to the family. That's what happened to me and others. That's why I bought it also because other people are experiencing this all the time. And that's why I bought it to the family for healing.
Okay. And well, my situation isn't directly like that, but I am going to use it as an example. The position that I'm in is I am the most junior person and make the least amount of money as a financial analyst at a prominent law school in the finance department. Since being there in a few years, I have taken up the positions in terms of absorbing what the people do, positions and people getting laid off. 2 directors, another analyst, and managing budget managers, in other centers and departments. Now making executive long-term decisions for the entire law school, speaking to the CFO of the college, as well as all of the executives in the law school, even having meetings to the point where putting together agendas and everything that's being said in the meeting is based upon all of the work that I've said and what I've actually presented to my CFO and treasurer, as well as doing an entire reorg for another department dealing with the biggest vendor. And just yesterday, found out that someone, one of the budget managers I've been doing all of this work for, is now getting a huge raise. And so I work for all of these people, doing all this work for these people who are making sometimes over, about 2.5 times my salary. I could absolutely be very bitter about that particular situation. It's absolutely not right. At the moment, I am also the only Black person as well. I personally, I understand and do not put or have much faith, honestly, in the CFO that she would necessarily make it right, because it's a situation where it's more so that you have to beg, and I'm making a point of saying this, not or more so beg or negotiate your salary to force them to pay you what you're worth. Currently, what I am doing, I have decided to look at it from a situation where I realize that I have a great deal of experience. And so I'm therefore very valuable and can take that elsewhere, but I don't want to depend on them based upon, and I don't mean this word mean when I say it, ignorance. Ignorance in terms of where they are in life and having to take advantage of people. That's just where they are. I just need to realize my value and go elsewhere, and not looking at it from a standpoint that they're actually holding me back. If I look at it from a standpoint that I'm solely dependent upon them for whatever it is that I do, it's almost like I buy into my value based upon what they see in me, versus the way that I've decided to look at it, or I more so know and believe wholeheartedly, is that I best know and understand and see my value. And I can't depend on someone who doesn't really know the value of themselves to understand the value of me, and therefore feel like their only advancement in life is able to take advantage of others. It's just a simple matter of me using my skills and understanding and going finding somewhere where I am more embraced and much more invited, so to speak, and can play a bigger part in a bigger change. And out of all the things that I said, and understand all the money that I've even saved the law school, I actually know for a fact and understand that what I bring to the table is none of that stuff that I just said, because it's invaluable in terms of what it is for me just to be in an environment, in terms of bringing peace and calm, and even having, for example, the head of HR just having a conversation with me and then feeling very odd because she's a lot older than me, and start just telling me about her life and telling me I'm an extremely wise person. Those are the types of things that you must realize that on a regular day-to-day basis. When I was talking earlier today about the gift of who Evelyn is, that's what you are everywhere you go. But it's a matter of you understanding and realizing that, and not being caught up, this goes for everyone, in what everyone else or someone else sees the value in you when they don't know the value of themselves. It's important that you realize that also, because if we get caught up in depending on others in terms of our value, it's based upon their lack of sight, so to speak. We talk about the third eye all the time. If their third eye is darker, their third eye is cloudy, or they're not as acclimated with it, how can they see that in you? They can't see it in themselves. I make it's this little saying that I have, and it's based upon everyone we deal with on a regular basis in terms of understanding. We can't expect someone who lies to themselves all the time to tell us the truth. They're not lying to us. They're keeping up the lie to themselves. And it just so happened, in order to keep up the lie to themselves, they have to lie to us. So I say all that to say, not telling you at all what to do. I'm telling you to more so move and understand and realize the gift and the value of what Evelyn is, and then going from that point on. And it totally changes the situation if I tell you all that stuff that you just told me that you know that you can do, for example. The questions that you have to ask yourself: can I use these skills elsewhere and actually be better utilized for the greater good of mankind? Because in some of these situations, when they don't realize the value of what we are, what we have to offer, they don't really necessarily put us in a situation where we always can be the best of who we can be in terms of benefiting mankind. But you must realize that they don't determine your value.
Thank you, Sheldon. I really appreciate that.
And it's something I had to work on. I was not happy. I'm not. I had to immediately change it, but immediately when I had. Hello. Okay, go ahead. That's what you were saying something. That's Richard. If you're talking, you're on mute. Hello. Oh, well, is anyone there? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
While we're waiting on Pastor, I'm just telling you, Evelyn, because this is going to happen, and I'm absolutely not perfect with that stuff that I just told you. When I found, and I don't know how much, when I found out the young lady who I've basically been doing all this work for the past, she's in a different center though, for the past year, and her director, because we kind of like separate, doesn't realize all the backhand work that's been going on, and I actually been doing all of this work. I had to essentially not forgive the situation, but I had to make it right. So when I first heard that yesterday, I was not happy about it. But then I had to put things back into perspective very quickly and just replace that thought, immediately, not fight it, just like, no, I can't go on like this. Got to be happy for her, just like you were saying with that guy. You forgive him and everything, or you want the best for him. I had to do that immediately going forward. But also, what that does is that it released me, and that allowed me to continue to go on my path, so to speak, freely, and not in the same time hold myself in that place kind of where I was being taken advantage of. The part of being taken advantage of is no one can take advantage of us unless we allow it. And this is what I mean by that. If I'm knowingly doing something and I'm all right with it and I'm allowing it to happen, I'm not being taken advantage of. I'm just giving you a freebie. But also, while doing all of this stuff, and I spoke to my manager one day when she was asking me, because she was my direct manager was concerned about my pay, and I didn't mean to be excited about it. And I was like, oh, don't get me wrong, I've actually learned a lot, which I have. Like I said, I realized thinking back just on all the things that they had me doing, even though I wasn't getting paid, I've been doing a director's job this entire time. So I have a very, very great deal of wealth and understanding. I just have more and more people who are coming to me out of all people. Now everyone knows that it's ridiculous that I'm an analyst because I'm making executive decisions. So as long as you keep that mindset that I'm working towards something greater, or I am benefiting even the individuals, because I know you work more of in like a social setting, you focus on the impact that you're having there, and you will continue to grow in a way that you like and you want. The universe, we can go think about our Father's prayer, etc. There's no way possible, and this is just universal laws, that you will be held back from having a great impact if that is what your desire and your heart is. Automatically, the universe, creation, everything else acquiesces to you in that particular situation.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, but I'm back. So what were you guys?
It's on you, Pastor Richard.
Yeah, I'm asking, where were you? Because I know you came up.
Oh, the only thing I was just explaining to Evelyn and everyone my situation at work, and gave a personal account of how I've had to essentially change the conditions from within, and talking about recognizing the value of what, who and what we are personally, internally, and letting that not be set by others who, to be frank, at this moment are not even qualified to be able to do that. Not only that, well, yeah, just not qualified to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Did you hear me when I started talking about what I am seeing with the water and its relationship to us?
No, as soon as you started talking, you went out, and then we couldn't hear you anymore. So you have to start off from the beginning.
Okay. What I was attempting to say is I understand, at least I think I do anyway, the reason that we had to discuss water and its effect on everything that is. Water, first of all, represents spirituality in the earth. But just as important is that it aids us in being able to think and process things spiritually. And an example of that is for me, when I think or say something that is contrary to who I am, I sense the vibration internally, and I immediately correct it. I guess what I'm saying is that when I do that, it's similar to the experience. It's similar to what Jesus said when Jesus said that I always do what I see my Father say, and I think that in itself is extremely important to us to be able to experience that type of energy in such a short period that we have been discussing this. And I want to ask if there are others who have noticed a difference in themselves in regards to that. Okay. That is a segue for me to bring up something that I came across that was yesterday, yes. Are you familiar with the planet's alignment on the course of this month?
Yes.
Okay. I want to have a discussion about that, about what it means. I read something that said the alignment of the planet means that there is a huge shift of energy taking place. And I read where the ancient astrologers said that the planet represented the wheel of the deities or the wheel of the gods and their direct influence upon human affairs. The planets, in essence, what the ancients are saying is that the planets align or represent the will, the desires of the gods, of Elohim. And it also represents their direct influence upon human affairs. So that, to me, says that the alignment has more to do with the desires that those who know who they are represent. What am I saying? Our desires have been to correct the pathway that we've traveled for so long. In other words, to have an influence on human affairs. And I do believe that this alignment speaks to that. The next alignment is not until 2040. However, this alignment started this morning and will continue until the 27th of this month. And the most opportune times to see it, one was this morning, the other one, the 22nd of this month, just before sunrise. Are there any questions about this so far? Comments?
So, Pastor, what you're saying then is this is a sign that we have an opportunity to do something now, or this is just the result of our action so far?
It's a
You
result.
said till the 27th. So, what do we have opportunity to do until the 27th?
You remember a few weeks ago, I think I made the statement that we are about to experience a tremendous shift in energy. The shift has taken place. We just going to experience it. See, what we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity, yes, to continue the journey, but we have also brought into existence this alignment. And the reason I say that is because I believe the ancients, more so than I do, the scientists who are doing the scientific studies and telling you about gravitational pulls, etc. Because to me, the ancients had a greater understanding of the interacting of the planets with this Earth, as well as with the inhabitants of this Earth. So the experience that I'm talking about, or the shift that I'm talking about, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. However, I do know that we will be able to notice it. Our eye will be open even more so, be even more clearer than it's been in the past. And there are events that are going to take place that we will notice and experience. And there are those of us who have been experiencing quite a bit of chaos in our lives, or have been experiencing distractions. That's a better word. Distractions in our lives, and those distractions are coming to an abrupt end, and we will be able to gaze into the waters of the deep and begin to see the light as it exits the waters of the deep and manifest in this earth realm the loving kindness that we have been seeking for so long. Questions, comments, Ron, does that help you?
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Someone said that they were familiar with it. What did you think when you first read it or saw it or heard of it?
This is Barbara. I was kind of a little bit taken aback, because usually we know in advance when major kinds of things would happen, but this I just came across this in my feed, in my news feed, and it's almost like there's no attention, not a lot of attention being paid to it, not only from the perspective of the media, because there's so much other stuff, other distractions that have the media's attention right now. But from the spiritual perspective, I too believe that it ushers in even more the potential for energy for the earth. And I think that it's already happening with lots of things being exposed that were previously covered up. And so I would say we just need to keep our focus on what we're focused on, and that is everybody understanding who they are, and in doing that. And I don't mean just us who are on the path, but that that our focus is that those who are not on the path in pursuit of truth, and that the truth is the truth of who they are and who we are authentically, that that's our desire, and that people come to know the Elohim that they are. So we need to stay focused and don't let anything. Lots of other stuff, things are happening out there. Just let them pass through. It's almost like we're in a continual meditation, and if you will, all of these distractions, that's what they are. Although they're important to us, they may be affecting us in a significant way. But understanding the bigger picture of who we are, it still has that opportunity to be that distraction for us and to take our focus off of what we've been doing. So I agree with you that it seems to be the opportunity that's ushering in much more energy that's available to us. And so instead of letting the distractions occur, we need to take advantage of that energy that's being made available.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yeah. Good morning, Pastor. Good morning, everyone. I also wanted to just speak a little bit in reference to, the strawberry moon that we just recently had, and taking the opportunity just to, be able to observe it. There was just a radiance, an outer ring around the moon that was just so powerful, and in terms of just the energy, that was released. And at the same time, just being in a situation where we know that, nature is really speaking to us, through, the planets, through, the superclusters, the clusters, the galaxies, as you say, it's all lining up when we talk about it, so above, so below. And I think that, as you're saying, this is just a great time, for us to receive the energy in that way that it helps us to deal with all of the challenges that are before us. And so I can really resonate, to what, Sheldon and also Evelyn said earlier, because I think we all are going through experience for a much deeper purpose in terms of us bringing healing to the land. So I just wanted to share, those thoughts in terms of just the cosmos, in a way that I can see how it relates to what you're saying. I'm done.
Thank you. Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hey,
Anyone else?
this is Nick. Excuse me. I had first time I tested COVID positive was this past week, but I'm doing okay. I just wanted to say, anytime you see a downturn in financial markets, that's virtually guaranteed to be a extremely resonant and high point of spiritual energy and opportunity, because mostly what we see in financial markets is in a lot of ways the inverse of what spiritual opportunity and energy is available, I believe, because as we've spoken about here before, most of what the financial market is just the religion of materialism. And when that religion falters, it's due to other more spiritually oriented energies sort of peeking through that veil of ignorance that this materialist mindset creates. And I believe one of the big things that's going to happen in order for this type of shift to take hold is maybe not the total collapse, but a financial situation similar to the Great Depression. And I don't know when that's going to happen. And it's as we all know, with every time the market goes up, it must eventually come down. But we have been sort of coasting on an artificially inflated market for a long time. But anyway, the main point I wanted to make was that anytime people get scared for their physical and material situation, that is spirituality sort of knocking on the door, in a sense, to remind you of what is there already. And I'm done.
Thank you, sir. I concur with what you're saying, especially about the market, Nick. I think what we are experiencing is, and I may have said this before, I don't know, is the demise of an empire and the raising of a nation. And in my opinion, the difference between an empire and a nation is that the empire is all about the acquisition of material things. It's about control and manipulation. A nation is about the people. It's about a nation does everything it can to make sure that the people in that nation are taken care of. And I do believe that we are having a great experience of it in this country because unlike Britain had colonies, and this country did not have colonies, but this country was imperialistic and continues to be imperialistic as Britain's colonies began to sever their ties with the crown. So I believe that the rise of the nation is taking place and will have a positive effect on the rest of the world. I also believe that the energy that we are experiencing and shall experience is the energy that will remove the distractions or minimize the distractions. It's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel. The energy is the glimpse of that light at the end of the distractions. It is a message saying that those things that has stood between us and the raising of the nation, that stood between us and letting the inhabitants of the earth see who they are in terms of, first of all, being human, and then understanding that in order to be human, you have to embrace the reality that you are Elohim, meaning that you can't be human without being Elohim, because anything else does not lend itself to the service of humanity. So thanks for that that information. Anyone else?
And thank you. And I just want to say I 100% agree. And even what we see in all these QAnon MAGA people is that same sense that a nation needs to be born. But obviously, the lens through which they are viewing that is confused and misguided and a lot of other things. But it is from that sense that human beings are not in control of our environment and are not in control of producing an environment that is itself conducive to the desires of human beings. We are in sort of artificial profit-seeking construct that no human desires to live in. But anyway, I just want to point that out, because I believe that even that phenomenon of Donald Trump is part of that inner recognition, though it is sort of confused in many ways.
I honestly think, Nick, that he is the focal point, the initiator.
Yeah.
The door that opened us up. There are going to be people who will suffer as a result of what's transpiring. Even with the baby formula being in great demand and hard to acquire. If you really think about it, and I'm going somewhere with this, the baby formula is being flown in from country from which the baby food is being flown in, the formula.
Is it Germany?
No, it's coming through Germany. But I think it's one of the Scandinavian countries that Nestle owns. They own Nestle, rather. But anyway, Nestle's or Stouffer's is in Gaffney and Ohio and a couple other places. And why is it that they are bringing in baby food, baby formula rather, from other nations, from the nation that the people that own the company, and allowing it to be stocked on shelves, as opposed to the grocery stores or like the Walmarts or the big box store are not ordering it themselves, put on their shelves. Why is it that the government is doing that? The reason the government is doing that is just what Nick said. It does not matter. The people don't really matter. The government does what it does in order to keep people in line and to line the pockets of those who are already super rich. Yes, people will suffer. But the reality of it is this. They are suffering spiritually already. They don't know it. And if the material suffering will bring humanity to a place to realize that it is human, then it's all worth it. There has never been a time in this country when gas prices has risen as rapidly as they have this time. And when Nixon was in the White House, gas prices increased. And he froze gas prices. And no one is making any effort to do that with the oil companies. This is a difference. It has to be this difficult in order for things to be changed. I know you've heard about the flooding at Yellowstone Park. Yellowstone National Park is a gemstone in the American park system. It is the most visited park in the system. That is being destroyed now, the flood. And I wonder if you know what the history of that park is, and I think it'll be easier for you to see the reason this is taking place and must be seen, must continue to take place. Are you familiar with the history of the park?
not really.
No.
Ron always says that there is nothing that this country does that does not take into consideration us. So basically, everything that's done is done on the foundation, built on the foundation of racism. That part has been off limits to most of Africans because by choice, not because they can't go, but by choice. In 1872, Grant was president, and Grant ordered that land to be set aside for park for recreation for white people. And Grant sent soldiers into the park to extricate all the Native Americans from the park, killing some of them. And the park was for white people only. And those who were seeking to reinstate the system of enslavement and to minimize the citizenship of Africans begun to meet in that park and begun to do exercises in the wilderness of that park. And that has continued to this day. That was in 1872. Roosevelt opened the park system up to everyone with the understanding that there were areas designated for people of color, and they could not go into the areas that were designated for white only. It wasn't until 1964 that changed. The decimation of that park is based upon the foundation upon which it was established. Everything must be torn down, removed, in order to have the space to rebuild. And the foundation that it must be built on is a foundation that is not only cognizant of humanity, but cares about humanity. There is a major major shift, and during the course of that shift, there has to be repentance. And the repentance is not going to come from the greedy. The repentance comes from those who inherited the greed from those who are in charge today. The repentance comes from those who recognize the depth of the effects of racism on people of color. And that repentance comes by virtue of them seeking to not only understand the plight that we have and still are experiencing, but also what to do about it. And the what to do about it portion of that is going to come from the African. And the establishment of the nation will be built upon the foundation that has been laid by the African. So whether it be Yellowstone Park or whether it be the killing of the people at the grocery store or in churches, all of this is a reckoning. When in Uvalde, Texas, those 19 policemen stood outside of their classroom, my question is this: if the majority of those people in that classroom were white, would they have done the same thing? So there is a reckoning. The God of this world, as Nick pointed to, is money. Or he reminded us that is money. The protector of the money is a gun. The weaponry that protects the money is the weaponry of an army. and the carnage is going to take place to keep this in the forefront of the desires that things change. Because people do not look for an alternative journey unless there is an impasse to the journey that they are on. And the impasse to the journey that they are on is finance and the carnage that's taking place in this nation. The organizing, not the organizing, the revealing of the white supremacist armies that are taking root at the forefront of this nation. All of this is being done because change must take place, or there will be no existence of man as we know it today. I'm not talking about things, I'm talking about people. I'm speaking of people, not things. So here we are in the midst of this shift, and it's painful not only for those who are not aware of it, but it's painful for us as well, watching them, what they're going through, but they're also experiencing those things that we have identified as distractions. All of it is painful. Yet we must be persistent about our desires and fulfill the charge that we have accepted on behalf of humanity. Any questions or comments?
I have
Go ahead.
I have a few. First, I will start off touch on several things that you and Nick and even Miss Barbara mentioned. As you talk about the human and Elohim, and even this system that we currently have, everything that is done, even those things where man acts as if like an animal, etc. All these things, any ism you can explain or anything else is based upon spiritual ignorance. And that is just coming from a point when I say ignorance, detached from who and what they are. And so going further with that, this pursuit of material wealth is an example of spiritual ignorance, because it is the looking for outwardly wealth that is much greater inwardly, but is that ignorance has that individual or us as a collective as times looking outwardly instead of inwardly for that wealth which is greater on the inside. You mentioned capitalism, and Nick mentioned about capitalism falling, and I don't think a lot of people see how spirituality is tied with that, or as capitalism is the antithesis of spirituality. Capitalism has no morality, and capitalism requires that one person take advantage of another, or to have the mindset, which then affects the spiritual eye, to basically choose myself over others to the detriment of others. That's how capitalism works. You mentioned the baby formula, and as it relates to capitalism, because of lobbying, and as you said, because of dollars and things like that, for a long time, the only person who was allowed to produce baby formula, as far as this country was concerned, was those companies who had a monopoly and were actually creating it, or manufacturing in this company. There were laws that we could not import baby formula for financial reasons. Capitalism works great for things that we want, but it does not work great for things that we actually need, that are most important. So when we talk about capitalism or capitalism falling, is not that we just have some huge with capitalism, period. And this is for everyone listening, is that we understand how, like I said, that works against spirituality, or becoming more tuned from a spiritual nature, because as you want to concentrate on capitalism, you have to turn your back to spirituality. Is a requirement. And as also, and Pastor Richard mentioned just now, that those people, the general people, come in aware of that. What that means is when they become aware of that, they are automatically becoming more open and attuned to their third eye, to the inner senses, more aware of them. Now, I did not know about the alignment of these of the planets that was occurring now and be occurring for the next few days. However, I have been, reading about and learning about how coordination points work just this past week, and it's very prevalent in this conversation. These types of alignments and things like that in the solar system create coordination points. And this is with everything that I just said and everything you guys said, going back to that alignment that you mentioned. And what coordination points do in terms of this physical world, this dimension, it not only is an influx of energy, but it also from us is as if is an accelerator as well. So it's an acceleration of energy that is re-energized, in a sense, it's like it's supercharged, and then immediately an opportunity for an influx of consciousness, awareness from other worlds, and an opportunity to build something anew, great. So even when you think about all the big, great changes within this Earth's, this world's history, it came through coordination points with huge influxes of immediate energy. That is basically what we're experiencing. That is what is before us at this moment. I'm finished.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sheldon.
sir. Any questions or comments about that?
Yeah, I wanted to add something, unless anybody else had anything first. I wanted to give some context for what we're talking about in terms of our daily experience. You are not wrong for desiring more money, in the sense that that desire comes from a deeper desire for stability and some degree of comfort that I believe everyone is owed. So within the context of our discussion about how capitalism is basically anti-spirituality, don't misunderstand that as us saying that you wanting to make a decent salary or be paid for the work that you do as a negative thing. It is not. You wanting a higher salary to stabilize your life is not the same as somebody putting in a third kitchen in their 100-foot yacht. You, in your human capacity to want to stabilize your environment so that it can be peaceful, is not the same thing that we are saying it needs to die and collapse, essentially. So don't feel bad for seeking what you are owed for the work that you do and for the value that you think or that you give the place that you work. This is not a negative thing. And it is one of the sort of brainwashing effects that the real masters of capitalism have sort of done to people is to get them to feel wrong for asking for compensation that is equal to the value they bring. That is mind control, essentially, on a purely sort of capitalistic sense. So I just want to make sure that no one is going forward thinking that they are wrong for asking for those kinds of things that they instinctually know that they are owed when you realize you're in a sort of a situation that is trying to take advantage of you or is mistreating you. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's very important. I'm glad, Nick, that you brought that up so we can highlight that. I see how it might have been taken that way. Yeah, as we talk about capitalism, what we're more so talking about, we're talking about the seeking out to take advantage of others. Definitely not speaking upon getting what is fairly owed from a sense. And definitely, yeah, thank you, Nick. Taking advantage of someone is more so what, well, I want to be very specific how I say this, because I don't think that I am being or can be, because I decide whether I'm being taken advantage of. However, those who think they're in control of that situation that I just mentioned earlier, that is their intent. And so as it relates to Nick's statement just now, I understand that that is what is going on. I understand that I am more valuable. But at the same time also, and this is specifically not picking at Evelyn at all. I mean this all wholeheartedly, because this is of course what I said I had to do before, or I am doing or even experiencing first hand. Though they are attempting or trying to take advantage of me, and though at one particular time I was extremely disgruntled and upset, not only as I did a lot of my work and was going above beyond, but I, in a sense, did it very begrudgingly. I changed the outcome immediately and even changed the memory of all that work that I've done by looking at the value of it, understanding how I contribute, understand how I held things in place, understand how I gained a whole bunch of skills. And now that thing, all that stuff that I have done, I have energized it and supercharged it in a sense where it is positive. And not only does it have positivity back then, I changed it back then, this is back to memory. But now as I go forward, I'm able to take something forward from all of that stuff. Now I was doing something different a year ago than what I thought I was doing at the time, or even what, let's say 2 months ago, I thought I was doing a year ago. I was building upon something great, and I was enriching lives, because that's what I have decided, and that's what I also deep down know, even with climate change, center human rights and global justice, and a lot of countries around the world, et cetera. But what we're talking about also, we're talking about everyone having the ability to live comfortable. We're talking about everyone having, there's a thing called Maslow's hierarchy, everyone to have their basic needs taken care of, which also then provides an opportunity for them to concentrate on more, and so, and who and what they are. So thank you, Nick, for that point on the difference between capitalism and value.
Thank you, Sheldon. I highly agree. And I think you're very correct in saying that the essence of what we're talking about is the desire to take advantage, to capitalize on somebody else's situation, etc.
Nick, I want to say thank you too. In lieu of what Sheldon just said, that was very valuable information. But I do want to say that I did let them know. I know what you did. And I looked them right in their eyes. I know what you did, but it's okay. So, and you just didn't do it to just anybody. You did it to me. So I saw what you did. And I left it like that. And it's like, Evelyn, whatever you want to do, whatever you need, just let us know. So, but anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you as well.
Yeah. And let me add on to that. From what I just said, don't feel like it is your forced upon burden to remain anywhere that does not see the value that you bring. It is not because unfortunately, that on some level that is kind of self-righteous. Turn the other cheek, so to speak, which I believe we've spoken about it here, means if you are being mistreated, leave, and don't feel like it is your burden to remain amongst the ignorant and the wicked. If the ignorant and wicked refuse the message, whatever that case may be. So I want to add that as well.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad that you inserted that, Nick, because it is your desire. If your desire is to simply be comfortable in this environment, there's nothing wrong with it. I spoke with someone some time ago, years actually, and I said to them, the problem is that you start programs for other people, and they are very well taken care of. You need to probably value yourself more and include in your grants enough money for you to actually live. Capitalists make you feel guilty about making money. Capitalists make you feel like it's evil to do that, especially churches. I think that the lesson that was given, one of the main portions of it, when Kathy taught that for about 2 years, I think. Money is the root of all evil. Money is not evil itself. It depends on your desires. It depends on what you believe the truth is. The desires of your heart make a decision about whether it's going to be your God in this environment or whether it's going to be your servant in this environment. And that's a huge, huge difference. Any other questions?
I just wanted to add one thing to what you said. It's not money that is the root of all evil. It is the love of it. When you love it more than you love anything else, that's when money becomes your God, and it doesn't do what it's designed to do, which is to serve you. Money is your servant. And when you begin to realize that, then you know how to tap into and access so that it does what it was supposed to do. And I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to say the real weapon that the European, in the way that we mean that sort of spiritual ignorance that it comes out of, is sort of maybe unique to Europe in some ways, but the real weapon that ignorance fights with is money is the tool, but it really is corruption in the, I guess you could say, spiritual or ethical sense. It is the force that says, oh, okay, you believe everything is connected. You believe, there's an instinctive spirituality that you are experiencing and living in. Okay, here is all your material desires that you could ever possibly imagine times 10 to do what I say and betray your people. It is the real putting your money where your mouth is of what you say you believe. And I believe that is the essence of what needs to be dealt with on an individual and collective spiritual level in order to collapse a system based on that selfishness and corruption. And that is why it was so difficult.
And what happened?
Oh, I'll be almost done. And that is why it's so difficult for people to fight that influence, because there was no major force in the world that fought with that influence, which is the sort of true corrupting influence of sort of personal, selfish, material desire and the ability to fulfill those desires, along with just, outward violence and destruction. I'm done.
As you were talking, Nick, what I thought about that was an example of what you just talked about in terms of money, was what's happening with the golfers going to play in Saudi Arabia, so that clearly the principle of this nation killing someone and everyone knowing about it is not as important as going to be able to make hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars by playing golf in the name of that nation, in the name of its league. So it's just in your face kind of thing again about what people are doing as it relates to the worship of the God of this world.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? On my assessment of what all that's been said in regards to money is for us to understand or be reminded of the power of money in terms of the corruption that we live amongst. When you become the power, when you see yourself as the power, then I think I've said it many times that money becomes no different than a screwdriver. You need a screwdriver to remove a screw. You can't do it with money, so money's the tool that gets you that screwdriver. And when we can see it that way, then it does not have any control over us. As a matter of truth, we begin to be its controller. Honestly, I do not think that the majority of us feel like money is the answer in terms of the thing that does everything we need. I don't think there is any of us who, at least the majority of anyway, who opine for money and money makes us who we are. I don't think that's the truth with the majority of us. However, I do think that an obsession with it becomes a source of blindness. And I also think that the way we speak in reference to it makes a difference as well. Justice said one day, whatever you put behind I am, that's what you are. And to follow I am with poor, then what is your definition of poor? That means having less than someone else or having nothing. My suggestion for that would be to recognize the position of money, and regardless of what you see, trust what you know and trust who you are. And that way, you are less likely. Matter of fact, it's impossible for you to fall in love or to embrace or have an affection for the God of this world, which again is money. And money is a great tool of manipulation. Look at the way that the Caucasians embrace Trump. They embrace Trump because he's a rich man. He's a businessman. And they believe, because of manipulation, that they can be at that place where he is purported to be when it comes to money. And that's a belief that has manipulated them to the point where they vote against their own interests and they fight against their own interests. Fred Hampton was killed in Chicago because he had put together a coalition between poor white people and Africans. And the way he did it, he sat down with them and he talked with them about a common interest and explored whether or not there was a pathway for them to be in a position that the rich manipulators are in. And he had planned not only a meeting, but he had planned to march with that coalition, and because we had a common cause. He was killed before that happened because the fear of it was that people who are manipulated by money in order for others to get more money were coming together. And that was a threat to capitalism. That was a threat to this nation. And the objective has always been to keep white people separate from Africans, because if they ever form a coalition, nothing can stop the reform that will be done in this nation. So please keep that in mind, that the greatest power that money has is the manipulation of humanity. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are there any other thoughts in regards to this, or anything else that you would like to bring up today?
Yeah, it's Ron. I have something I'd like to bring up. I thought about it earlier, but I didn't want to get off the subject we were on. It kind of relates back to the lining of the planets. And I think it was, you can see what I'm saying in this. There was you guys don't know I love nature shows, and I was watching one this morning about wild elephants, and I don't know how many of you guys saw it, but the elephants in Africa they follow a matriarch, and it's always the oldest matriarch in the colony. So whenever there is a drought, she goes from one place to another, knowing where all the water holes are, and she leads. Everybody follows her. She leads the pack. So this could take days, it could take hundreds of miles, but she always finds water. What they don't realize is what the guy was saying is she follows the same path that's been followed for thousands of years. The matriarch after matriarch after matriarch follows this circuit. And that got me to thinking as I watched them lined up one behind the other walking this morning, looking at that. One of the things that intrigued me about it was if they come across some bones of an elephant, they will sit there and moan those bones. They establish relationships. The elephants are able to have feelings for each other. But she stayed there and moaned those bones for hours, and they can even tell if those bones were a part of their troop. So, I look at that and I thought about a seed, because when she lines up to follow that track, it's the same track that every matriarch has followed since the beginning of time, let's say. It also reminded me when Jesus said, I go and prepare a place for you. So every elephant in that part of the world follows that same thing. She becomes the seed that is not only thousands of years old, but is ageless as far as what it would ever be. It all comes together in the here and now right then. So that just kind of got me to thinking about when Pastor talked about the energy of the planets, because the energy of all of those elephants marching for all those thousands of years is right there contained in that one march, going to find a water hole, leading her colony, a troop, or whatever you want to call them, to a water hole. I just thought that was interesting, and I think we learn a lot we can learn a lot from animals, and that caught my attention this morning. So thanks for letting me share.
Yes, sir. Any comments about that? All indigenous people believe in ancestors and the energy of ancestors to guide us in this life, which means that the memory of that those elephants had is embedded deeply in their DNA, and they are able to do what Ron described because they pay attention to who they are and how things have been. That's an example, Ron, of what we are talking about when we're talking about being one with the earth, the energy of the earth. Think about it. That's how birds fly. Because of that's how they know where they're going. It's because of the energy of the earth. So when we are free thinkers and back to what we were prior to not being one with the earth or nature, keep in mind that the memory of how to do that is in you. The only thing that may be missing is the depth of your desire. Yesterday it stormed. What happened is I got home, and when I got home, it was not thunderstorm in here. It was thundering in the distance, and I walked to the screen door and said, "Okay, well, you can come now. I'm home." And before I got back to the chair I was sitting in, it started raining. The wind was blowing. I mean, it was awful to the point where our lights, everything went off. And I walked back to the door and say, "The rain is fine, but the other is not." And the wind ceased. And prior to that, when the storm started, Clark says to me, "Why did you do that? I got to go home," in terms of the storm. Well, our TV went out. I mean, our, what is that? Direct TV went out. And I called. After the lights had come back on, I called. And they tried to fix it. The technicians tried to fix it from where they are. So they made an appointment for next week. And I said, this morning, I said to Phoebe, "You want me to fix your TV?" She said, "Of course." And all I did, turn the TV on, and it worked perfectly. What did that? What caused that to happen? The energy of desire is one of, if not the most powerful thing that you can embrace, because it does not simply exist it does not exist in a vacuum. It is who we are. We do not have energy. We are energy. And that's a great difference. We are energy itself. And the sooner we embrace that in a real way, to the extent that you don't doubt it, you will begin to see remarkable things happen in your life until you begin to understand that they are not remarkable, they're not even miracles. Because a miracle is something out of the ordinary. And the miracle that we are experiencing now is not being one with our Creator, and I'm speaking generally of people. So you will understand that when you are functioning the way you were created to function, that's normality, not miraculous. Thank you. Questions, comments? Okay. Anyone else like to speak in regards to anything that's on your heart? Okay. Well, tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we will once again meet on the phone. And I would like to talk about the danger in playing both sides, meaning that the danger in playing with who you are and playing church at the same time. There are danger in that. And I'm not talking about physical danger in terms of somebody hurting you. I'm talking about the spiritual danger that's involved in that. Now, that does not mean that it's set in stone, because if there are questions or if we are led in a different direction, it's because that's the direction we are supposed to be traveling. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your input. Thank you for sharing your energy with us. And my my desire for you is that your day be even better than any day you've experienced. So have a good evening or good day, and we will talk again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
day,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Take care,
day.
family.